Thank you for joining us today in honor and celebration of the life of Rebecca Sue Wimer Ross. Becki was born July 5th, 1936, to Evan and Helen Pride Wimer in Butler, Pennsylvania, and they lived on Weckerly Road with her two brothers, Evan and Art. In 1954, Becki graduated from Penn Township High School, and in 1958, she graduated from Westminster College in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, where she majored in history and minored in Latin, and met my father, John Edward Ross. They married July 5th, 1958, and moved to Lewiston, New York, where John was from. She had three children: Nancy, me, born in 1959, Charlie, born in 1964, and Amy, born in 1966. They moved from Lewiston to Pittsburgh in 1967 and then to Sharon in 1969, and she lived there until 2000 when she moved in with Nancy, myself, and Connor, my son. From there, she lived in Winchester, Kentucky, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, back to Sharon, and in 2016 to the Reformed Presbyterian home on the north side of Pittsburgh, where she passed away December 31st, 2020. Becki has 5 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren.
Hi, I'm Becki's brother Evan, and Nancy had asked me to reminisce a little bit about my sister and time we've spent together. Yeah, there's 9 years of age difference between the two of us, so I'm sure she thought of me over the years, at least earlier on, as just the pesky little brother while we were growing up. And in fact, there was one incident that occurred in our younger years when she was babysitting me, and I'm sure she wouldn't appreciate the fact that she had to babysit her brother at that time. But I don't know what happened, but I guess I got mad and I punched her. Well, that was probably a bad decision to make in that, because she took off, I guess, and I lost that ensuing argument at that time. But it must have been traumatic, because I still remember it to this day. So my next recollection of Becki probably centers mostly around her college years at Westminster, and our visits to campus, football games, dinners at the tavern, her sorority house. That was always interesting. At that age, all those girls, because you figure 9 years difference. I was still pretty young at that time. And then next to that was, of course, her marriage and the wedding, where I got to, at that time, be the parking lot attendant and park cars around the house. Yeah, not quite as bad as the Father of the Bride movie scene incident, but it still was sort of chaotic. But it's a time that I remember, and her wedding was really beautiful, and the reception was at the house. And I know my dad and her dad put in a lot of time getting the house ready for that, and the flowers at on the embankment, the small roses were just beautiful. I don't think they ever were as beautiful as that. Then I guess after a few years of that, my brother Art and I traveled to Lewiston, New York, to stay with her in the little cottage that was at the end of Water Street. And after our arrival in time, our sister helped us unpack our bags. And what a surprise to her is all she found in the bags were baseball gloves, baseballs, bats, other sporting paraphernalia, and a bunch of various items. Why would any 12 and 7-year-old think of packing any clothes? It's just not happening. But it's amazing how long you can live on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So that's the way it was. The cottage was really neat. Hang out over the sort of the cliff there, where the ice had eroded the embankment of the Niagara River. So I remember one day, looking out a bedroom window, and when I looked out, I looked straight down into the Niagara River. It was pretty interesting. Well, I didn't know how long it took the house or the cottage to fall into the river. They dismantled it first. And there was also another time I remember when Becki, Art, and I gathered together and went around our mom's house, and we each took a turn, picked out an item that we wanted sort of passed on when our mother passed on. And so we got down to the last item, and I remember Becki saying that of all the things in the house, the one thing I do not want is the wobbly table that we used to use for larger family gatherings. My dad had made that, our dad had made that table, but it was pretty shaky kind of thing. It would move back and forth. So that was the one thing. I don't really know what happened to that table. I'm sure that Becki did not have that table. I know I don't have that table. Maybe Art does, but I would doubt it. I imagine it just ended up going to the trash heap in the sky, somewhere. All of my other ensuing memories would have been following her around to some of the various places she lived. Lewiston, Shaler area, Sharon, Roanoke, Lexington, Milwaukee, Whitefish Bay, and back home to Hermitage, and ultimately the last few years here spent in Pittsburgh. So it's tough. I'm going to miss her. I loved her, and I just pray to the Lord. I know that she's at home now in her joy, and I just thank you for the opportunity to share some of those reminiscences. It's in Jesus that we pray. Amen.
Of Mom go back to Lewiston, New York, and she always let me and taught me to be independent. I could go out and play in the backyard in the woods and wander up and down Water Street and visit all the neighbors. And one of the earliest stories I remember when Charlie was 2 years old, and he climbed out the front window of the living room and escaped. And she and I split up. She said, "Nancy, you go this way and I'll go this way." And we searched for him. We lived right on the Niagara River, so it was dangerous if he got down to the river. And sure enough, I spotted him down on the dock and rescued him and brought him home. She was tough, and she always had a yardstick. Back in those days, the hardware stores gave away free yardsticks, and she broke a lot of yardsticks on us, particularly Charlie, because Charlie would laugh when she'd hit him with the yardstick. She'd hit him until it broke, and he'd just keep on laughing. So we went through a lot of yardsticks. She was fun. I can remember laughing, especially as we got older. Her and Amy and I would just laugh and laugh about things until we cried. We had a lot of fun. It was always my job to dry the dishes. And actually, I loved drying the dishes because that was the time, of course, everybody else left and went in other parts of the house or outside. And she and I always had our very best talks when she was washing and I was drying dishes. So I'll never forget that. Also, she did not deal with crises particularly well. So there were a couple of times when Amy had things happen and she bit through her tongue, she bit through her lip, she got a big gash on her forehead, and I would always have to go find her and say, "Don't worry, Mom, there's a lot of blood, but I think she's going to be all right. It's a head wound. It's just bleeding a lot, but we're going to have to go to the hospital." So I'd try and keep her calm. And we made several trips to the hospital, especially when we lived in Pittsburgh. Mom was always there for me through the kind of big moments of my life. She flew with me out to Missoula to go to college, and I didn't realize how hard that probably was on her until I had to go drop my son off at college. Of course, I was all excited to go to Montana and to get away from home, and she didn't want me to go that far away from home, so I'm sure that was really hard on her. The whole family drove out to Missoula for my graduation, and we had a good time in Montana then. She also, when I got pregnant with Connor, she came out to Idaho, and we took a big road trip through Yellowstone National Park. I'll never forget that. We saw lots of wildlife, and that was the first time that she had really been out in a remote national park, so that was a really special time. And then, of course, she came after Connor was born. When Connor was going into the 7th grade, she got laid off from her position at the Shenango Valley School of Business, and called me up and asked if my offer, which I had made years before, to move in with her was still on the table, because we decided we could live more cheaply together. And it was a really good time because the age Connor was, he was getting too old to go to daycare, so his Mimi took care of him while I was at work, and I was working on a big forest plan project, so I was traveling a lot, and that really worked out well. You know, Mom and I didn't always get along. We're both independent, we're both stubborn, but we made it work living together for 14 years as adults, and we had a lot of good times, and it worked out well for the both of us. I was really glad that I could move back to Pittsburgh and be with her for these last couple of years, and I was really happy when the aides at Reformed Presbyterian talked about how she always made them laugh. And that was kind of surprising to me because she didn't seem to laugh very much when I was there. But Mom always made the best of wherever she was at, and she never complained. And she always said she was happy no matter where she was and no matter what the circumstances. So she was really tough that way, and I'm gonna miss her, miss laughing with her. That's it.
Hi everyone, this is my Memories of Mom video. And of course, like all of us, we have a lot of memories of her, and all different. My memories of Mom pretty much begin in Sharon. I don't really have any memories of Pittsburgh or New York. I was too little, but 330 North Myers. And she was a stay-at-home mom, so she was always there, cooking and cleaning, but she was never just a housewife. She was always involved with her friends and her community, and taught us a great respect for being involved and volunteering and just getting into your community and making that important. Church was always, of course, a mainstay and rooted us in faith in God, which of course we need every day. So I'm very thankful to have had parents that took us to church and taught us about God, and grandparents also. And my younger years were, in my mind's eye, wonderful. We didn't have technology. We played outside and always had family dinner together. And then my teenage years were pretty much normal. Mom and I never had that mother-daughter relationship where we fought. She and I just never really fought with each other. And one of my favorite memories is riding our bicycles after we would clean up after dinner. Nancy was away at college by this time, so we would get on our bikes and go for a bike ride in the summer. And neither one, her nor I, have ever been a fan of cold weather. So, but in the summer we'd ride our bikes, and a lot of times we would ride them up to Dairy Queen, get some ice cream, just her and I. And that's a special memory for me. And as I grew up and moved away, I was always sort of the non-directional child, I guess you could say. I just sort of wandered along through my early years, but I landed here in Somerdale, PA, and then we started a family, and after Kyle was born, I quit working. By this time, Mom was in Roanoke, so another special memory was our phone conversations. Almost every morning, we would call each other and just chat and catch up, and I'd fill her in on what the kids were doing. And so that was always very special. When I went back to work, of course, time restraints didn't allow those conversations anymore, but we still talked all the time, several times a week. And then life took she and Nancy away from Roanoke to Kentucky, and it was always fun to have a sister that moved around because I got to see some really cool places, and the kids got to go experience different areas of the country. And Wisconsin was just beautiful. I don't know that I would ever choose that as some place that I would go visit, but I'm glad that I was taken there to visit family because it is beautiful, and I would go back. And then life took her back to Sharon after many years, and that was a struggle for her. And I'm glad that I was able to then be there for her, and we would talk again about life and trying to just enjoy every moment. And then we were blessed to find Whispering Oaks, and I think she really enjoyed being there. And memories again, just I guess just the talks that we would have. We didn't really ever travel together, so just our phone conversations, and her always being impartial when I was having a crisis in life, and maybe somebody would have not given such wise advice, and she always never took sides and was never judgmental, but just would listen and then redirect me and get me back on track with that. So, and then we found Reformed Presbyterian, and God's hands were all over that, because Nancy and I went to many homes to try and find care for Mom as she got older. And as soon as we walked into the lobby and saw all the antiques we knew, it was like walking into Grandma's house or Mom's house, and almost some identical pieces that she had in the home growing up. And we knew that's where she needed to be, and they took wonderful care of her, and we're just so blessed and thankful for that. And Mom never complained. She just, she would always be happy to see us or hear from us. And I just really have nothing but fond memories of Mom. And that was sad as our parents get older that we can't have that connection and communication like we did, but I'm glad we did when we were able to. And so I'm just blessed that she raised us all to be wonderful people and independent, and I just think she did. None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes as people and parents, but we do our best, and Mom really did her best, and I will miss her.
Hi, I'm Art, Becky's little brother. We were 15 years apart. Let me begin by saying that we are so sad that we are unable to come and be with family during this time to honor Becki. She will always hold a very special place in our hearts. Becki always had time for me all her life. This meant so much to me even when I was young. One of my first memories was playing with me. She would pull me in a wagon, push me in my tricycle, and just lay with me on the grass in the front yard. Becki had a teddy bear that I really liked so much I felt that he needed a haircut, a buzz cut, just like me. Safe to say, her reaction to the bear's haircut wasn't great. Since I was very young when she went away to Westminster, the times we celebrated together are most memorable. Her graduation on the lawn of the college, and the wonderful family dinner at the tavern afterwards. Becki and John were married at Hill Presbyterian, and the reception was in the backyard of our house. My parents were so excited. They wanted everything to be perfect. The caterer was unaware of the challenges of using water from our well. While washing the lettuce, the well ran dry. For the rest of the reception, we didn't have water. It didn't dampen the celebration. I remember Becki and John riding away in a Ford convertible. Becki and John lived right on the Niagara River. I have many sweet memories of traveling from Lewiston to Canada to see the falls and eating in a fancy restaurant, as well as taking a boat ride just below the whirlpool. One of our trips to Becki's house was especially memorable. Our grandmother had passed away, and our parents decided to send us to Becki's during the week that they made arrangements. Evan and I were allowed to pack our own, so everything important, needy, and essential made the suitcase. Baseball bats, gloves, bats, football, and any toy we were able to stuff in. Very little clothing. It was a challenge for Becki once we arrived. Another cherished memory was Becki letting me hold Nancy as a baby. She trusted me as a 10-year-old boy. We always looked forward to eating at Becki's house. She was a wonderful cook and had the gift of hospitality. As adults, we would spend hours at her dining room or kitchen table with great food, especially dessert and coffee with no distractions, which showed her loving care for others. Every time we visited or called, she would take time to ask how about our family, wanting to catch up on what was happening. Even one of the last phone calls we had in November, she asked about Paula was doing in the kitchen. We cherish these memories of Becki. She will be missed as the family matriarch whose loving thoughts of others.
We regret the losing of our good friend Becki. Our thoughts and prayers are for you and all of your family. We do remember all the good times we've had. Our parties, Pontoon Century Club, our Shore House in Avalon, lots of food on North Myers and fun, parties at the Rosses and Beanies, McConnell's and Krebs's and others. We'll never forget your favorite drink, Myers rum and Coke. We still have the rum.
The only trouble we had was when John painted the picnic tables in on North Myers' backyard for a party that we were having. The paint didn't dry when the party started, causing painted seats on the guests' pants and slacks. But it was a great party anyways.
Good memories to share.
So we'll miss Becki a lot. We lived across the street for years and years on North Myers and stayed friends after that forever. So.
Hey Memes, hey everyone. I'm Connor Ross. I'm Memes' grandson. Nancy Ross's son, and definitely Memes' favorite. I mean, we lived together for years. I mean, so much better than having her own kids and, you know, all that other stuff. And when she moved in with us, you spoiled me rotten. My mom had me so good. You know, I would put away my dishes, I would clean my room, and then you showed up and we had a party time and you would clean everything and it was awesome. And then at 5 o'clock, it'd be Grand Marnier and Myers rum. You know, we had our fruit. Always had to put Grand Marnier in the fruit, didn't you, Memes? Even when I asked you no, you were like, no, that's how you're supposed to have fruit. And to this day, fruit still tastes like Grand Marnier to me, even if it doesn't have any in it. And then your Myers Dark, you know, just cheers into you, Memes. And I, you know, it's been a long time since we've lived together, but, you know, I never forget you. And you know, you're a super caring person, and I just really loved living with you, even though sometimes it was definitely hard. I mean, you had to watch Jeopardy every freaking day, even no matter what I was watching, you had to watch Jeopardy. And it would be like and I would get in fights with you and have to bring my mom in and be like, it's my turn to watch, like I'm watching something, and she's like, no, it's Jeopardy time. Even though you could record it, no, you had to watch it live because, you know, there wasn't even Twitter then to like ruin it, but no memes, you had to have the TV. So, you know, I really wish that you got to come down and see our house, like the smells that when I go down to the basement or when I'm outside or when I'm working in the house always remind me of your house when I play in the attic or out in the garage, and those smells are just like, oh, you know, every Christmas, all the time going to your house and you showing me all these little trinkets and things like that. And I think all of you, those trinkets is maybe what made me meet Flana, because she loves all those little things. Flana, come over here real quick. This is Flana.
Hi, everyone.
And so we will just show, we have the amazing printer boxes that you gave us. And we have all of the little figurines that you had, and Flana has added more to it. And every time we look at this great printer box, we always think of you. And, you know, we know which ones are yours, and Flana loves collecting them. And so hopefully we can find some more over the years to remember you by. And, you know, we just really, really love it. And we love you. And we just really hope you have a great walk over that rainbow road. And one day in the far, far future, we'll be up there and we'll bring you a bottle of Myers rum and some Grand Marnier strawberries, and we're gonna have a great time.
Hello, my name's Olivia, and this is my brother Kyle, and we're Mimi Ross's youngest grandchildren, and I'm the only granddaughter. Our best memories of Mimi are going to her house in Sharon and getting to ride our tricycles down her driveway and getting to play in her attic that used to have a secret door up to it and had a little gate, and we used to have rubber band wars in her second floor with our cousin Connor. We also loved how Mimi used to make us her famous toast that she would always eat. It was burnt, but she thought we would love it. And we have many great memories of Mimi and always getting to visit her.
My favorite memory was the Horse and Bourbon tour in Kentucky, where we gave Mimi Ross a wet willy, and it ran into her brain cavity. And we all thought that was hysterical, and that is one of my fondest memories of Mimi Ross.
Because she always knew how to have fun, even when cousin Connor gave her a wet willy. But she always had fun, and she always wanted everything perfect, and always taught us that it was great to have a nice Thanksgiving, even with the centerpieces on the table. And she always was dressed very nicely and wanted us to always look and do our best.
I'm Andrew Wimer, Becki's nephew. When I was a freshman at Grove City College, I unexpectedly had to stay for spring break, which was at Grove City was just a 4-day break, but I had nowhere to go and nothing to do. And Aunt Becki graciously opened her home to me in Sharon, and I got to spend a weekend with her. And since I grew up in Florida, I didn't get to spend much time with her, but we spent a really wonderful weekend together. She made me home-cooked meals. We went to her church on Sunday, and we went out to the movies on Saturday night, and we actually saw the movie Wonder Boys, which is set in Pittsburgh and is about a novelist. So for a Pittsburgh area college student, it was just the perfect thing to watch. We just had a wonderful time together, and it was really great to be able to spend time with my Aunt Becki for the first time, and we got to see each other a number of other times while I was in college, and she will be dearly missed. She was a wonderful, loving woman, and just sending my love to my father and to Uncle Evan and to everybody else in Pennsylvania. Love you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Alan Wimer, nephew of Becki Ross and son of Evan and Kathy Wimer. Wanted to share just a few thoughts about my Aunt Becki. One of my very pleasant memories growing up is Thanksgiving. And often we would go to Sharon, Pennsylvania, to my Aunt Becki's house. And there she would have prepared for us just a fantastic meal. And the aroma of the meal cooking, you could even smell as you were approaching the house with great anticipation. I would just get so excited about spending time with family, my cousins and grandparents, and everyone in that house. We just shared great joy together. So incredible memories about growing up and visiting Aunt Becki's house. And she had this laugh that it would just come out of nowhere, and it was infectious. You could hear her kind of building, and then she would just break out in this laughter, and I can remember it even now. I can just hear her, and it brought me such joy to be with family, and her laughter would often just, create other conversations that took place that day. But one of the things that she would always do is correct our speech. She always wanted us speaking the King's English, proper diction and sentence structure. Of course, as a 9 or 10-year-old, you might not value that so much, but later in life, I've learned to appreciate that and often think of my Aunt Becki when it's time to address someone in business or just meeting somebody for the first time. I can hear her correcting me. But I will tell you that I'm going to miss her tremendously. She was someone who I just always enjoyed being around. So I want to share a passage from 2 Corinthians 4th chapter, verses 16 through 18. It says, "Therefore, do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." And we just celebrate now that Aunt Becki is in our Lord's presence for eternity, and that we will miss her, but we do celebrate and are joyful because of her homegoing now that she is with the Lord.
Perhaps my fondest memories of Aunt Becki come from our family get-togethers at Thanksgiving. As a child, the drive from Saxonburg to Sharon seemed to take an eternity, but when we got there, the setting was always familiar. Once we entered the Ross family house, the holidays just took over. It always felt cozy, the smell of good food wafting through the air. I believe the fire was always going on in the fireplace, and most everybody gathered around the TV to watch a football game. Then we'd move to the dining room, where the table extended back into the living room. Maybe we had 25 to 30 people there. It seemed to always change as our family grew. I remember studying the toile wallpaper covering the dining room, imagining each story from every little vignette. And then I would be snapped back into reality by Aunt Becki's laugh. I will always remember that laugh, being full of joy. When you heard it, you knew somebody was having a good conversation, and that's where the party was. Over the years, Aunt Becki moved a bit, and so did I, so we unfortunately didn't get to see each other very often. But when we did, it was always an event, full of laughter and fun. To Nancy, Charlie, Amy, and all your loved ones, I pray that you find comfort and peace during this time. As challenging as it is for our family to get together right now, the love of our family is strong, and I pray that it warms your heart. We are blessed to have had Rebecca Ross as a foundation of this family. She is truly loved.
Hello. First off, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share some memories of Becki. I am Nancy Trafficante, and yes, Nancy Ross was named for me. Becki and I met 67 years ago at Westminster College, and we became fast friends. We were both members of Chi Omega sorority. Becki was smart, witty, and easy to get along with. She wore well. I was bridesmaid when she married John Ross in 1958. I lived in New Jersey, and at that time she lived in Lewiston, New York. Eventually, they moved to Sharon, Pennsylvania, where she raised her children. I visited her when she lived in Lewiston many times. And each time I went, we would go over to Niagara Falls, I guess to make sure they were still there. Becki liked nice clothes, and she took pride in her appearance. She liked looking healthy, and she never missed an opportunity to sunbathe. No matter the time of year, she always looked tan. That always amused me. As the years passed, our communication became the Christmas letter, and how I enjoyed reading about Nancy, Connor, and Becki in the various places Nancy was stationed. We had enough time together in person and by letter to cement a long-term friendship. She is part of my memory bank. And now there is one less person at the table. She will be missed. May she be in comfort and peace. God bless Becki.
We're Bill and Jean McConnell on the beach here remembering Becki. My first memory of Becki is when she and John used to troop across the campus at Westminster College in New Wilmington. After that, as we grew up with our families, we had many enjoyable times and great meals with Becki.
And I remember the girls' week at the beach. We read, and Becki loved to read. We cooked, and we carried on. It was a wonderful time, and she loved every minute of it.
There it is, Becki.